Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Coast to coast college football.
Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going into the end zone.
The sickest college football podcast.
There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards.
It's going to be sick.
That's right. Welcome to the Sick Podcast, Coast to Coast College Football. I'm John Lund, the East Coast side. He's Dan Lynch, the West Coast transplant. It is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. We're excited to bring to you yet another show about college football. But hopefully after some introduction, some banter, you'll end up sticking around because we've got a lot planned for what this show can be, as we've both been immersed in the world of college sports now for almost a decade for work-related purposes. Some of us might have even played college football. We'll get into that shortly, and that gives us the opportunity to not only be comfortable diving into the week-to-week of college football, but to have a future conversation with some of the best and brightest sports minds or participants in college football. As you can probably see and hear, I'm not John Lund, the media personality out in the West Coast. Dan is not the Dan Lynch of the New York Football Giants or the CUO of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which...
No idea who that guy is, but yes.
Maybe, that's who I should be doing the show with. I don't know why I decided to go down this path. But Dan, how are you? Assuredly, things are sunny in Los Angeles. You can make everybody around the world a little bit jealous about the great weather you get to deal with.
Johnny, we pay for it, brother. We pay for it. So, today it is absolutely beautiful here in Los Angeles. It's a good 72 degrees. Hello to all of our Canadian friends up north. We're sending you good vibes and good weather and just great college football content, man. Excited to be doing this show with you, Johnny boy. We've been talking about this for years, finally putting it together, and shout out to Sick Media as well for letting us do this coast to coast. Yeah, so excited to be doing this, and shout out to the other Dan Lynches out there who think they are doing the show, but you're getting me.
Yeah, if you want to request the other John Lund for a sports radio hit, which actually happened to me several years ago, I got a text message to hop on, I think it was Golik's show at the time, junior, not senior, or maybe both, to talk about San Francisco 49ers football. And I had to say, that's not my gig, not my warehouse. But thanks anyway for the consideration. I should have just went on and pretended. I don't know what I was thinking.
I think you should have too. And I think you kind of messed up there. You could have had a completely different lifestyle right now, living maybe in San Francisco with me on the West Coast. But you're an honest man, and we appreciate honest men in this world. So I don't think there's anything sicker than being honest, and that's what we're going to be bringing to you here on this podcast, Johnny boy, man. Wild times here in the world of college football. Am I right? I mean, it doesn't stop. It seems like probably 2 or 3 years ago, once the college football national championship somewhat ended, the offseason really started. And you kind of were sleeping on college football until maybe spring ball. And then the summer came, not major storylines. But now, man, it is every single day that we have college football content, man. And that's what we'll be bringing to you on this podcast.
Chris Berman used to famously say, nothing circles the wagons, either quite like the Buffalo Bills or the National Football League. College football will never surpass the NFL, but it's gotten pretty damn close over the past couple of years, certainly with NIL, the transfer portal, big names coming and going. Should they stay? Should they go? And now the government's getting involved with potentially dipping their toe in the water on putting together committees and trying to figure out answers to NIL, which maybe we'll have in a decade that we'll be doing this show. Somebody will finally figure out how to keep everybody in line, and not everybody in line, but get everybody on the same page as to what's expected instead of it still being the wild, wild west. We thought humorously when this first came out, name, image, and likeness, which would allow players to get paid for autograph sessions or being on a video game or stuff that they've never had an opportunity to get money for, jersey sales in the bookstore. And maybe it'll just be simple things like a local car commercial, the local pizza joint down the street. Hey, I'm player X. Come on down to Geno's. Mention my name, 20% off. Shout out to Geno's across the country. Maybe you could put that into practice. And then it turned into, no, the boosters of these schools that have been doing this sort of thing under the table for decades can now do it legally, or at least find a way to. And players are getting millions upon millions of dollars, cars, and things that obviously would happen. But when it first came about, we all thought, well, maybe this will be something nice and everybody will get a piece of the pie and it'll all get thrown around equally. Obviously, some positions are more important than others, but everybody can benefit from this. And it's escalated quickly, as a famous movie character once said.
Yeah, it has. And I think the other thing that most people need to know about NIL and the way that it's working in the college football ranks, it's not just in the Division I level. It's happening on the Division II level. It's happening on the D3 level. It's happening in JUCO. I mean, I play Division III football. There are guys on the team, and I wouldn't say all of them, but they are getting NIL deals, either at local bars, local car dealerships, just like you said, at the Division III level in random parts of the country where these kids are going out there and playing for free. So yes, there are good sides of it, maybe getting a couple extra $100 in their pockets for the weekend, blah, 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 etc. But there are other dangerous sides of it, as we've seen over the last couple of years. Especially it gets pretty hairy when it goes into that weird world of what we call the collectives, which is basically, boosters coming in and creating a fund that moves out to other, type of players and getting people in and having basically a budget for it. But yeah, man, it is a wild time to be a college football fan. So in covering this sport, I mean, it's amazing. I don't think we're ever going to go back to what we had literally 5 years ago. But for what it is, man, we're still addicted to it. We're still watching it every Saturday. We're still watching it every Thursday. Who knows what other times they're going to be putting games on. And it's a wild time. I don't think when we started this, right, going back to 2021 was, I believe, when it became legal. It would ever move.
A great way to kind of start a pandemic is to also uproot and change everything we know about college football all at once.
Yes.
Transfer portal, name, image, and likeness. Let's throw it all out there while we're trying to figure out how to just get by in the day-to-day. Let's change college football and see how that goes while we're all at home. It was a great time to really unveil that and roll out the red carpet.
We definitely had a lot to talk about while we were all at home doing our thing. Very thankful we are not still doing that. But yeah, it's still a wild time and it's changing every single day. You really have to be paying attention to local government, the way that it's kind of working, the team that you follow, the conference that you're associated with. It changes every single day. But that's why we're here on Coast to Coast College Football on SICK Media to bring you everything and break everything down from our perspective, Johnny Lund.
Yeah, and we'll try to make it all make sense for the casual fans. We're not necessarily going to be the huge X's and O's breakdown folks, but what you're seeing on social media, what you're seeing in the newspaper, shout out to those that some exist somewhere, somehow. Those stories that are getting thrown around in the ethium of what's going on in the world, we will have our finger to the pulse of and be able to provide our context to it. Now, you mentioned King's College, and I feel like we should let people know who we are before we start diving into these shows, because we have no credibility, at least as of now. Maybe in 10 minutes we'll get it taken care of. But you of King's College, former tight end from Wilkes-Barre, 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 depending on where you are in the northeast of Pennsylvania and how you say it. How did you become a football player in college at the Division III level and then use that experience to get to where you are now in the radio world as a professional?
Yeah, I think every red-blooded American wants to grow up and play Division III football, and that's exactly who I was.
Especially in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Especially, the coal mining diamond district of northeastern Pennsylvania. But yeah, I had a great college or high school career. The typical story of I got injured. Could have been at Penn State, dude. Could have been at Clemson. But
Rutgers,
New Jersey Rutgers too. Yes, I am a Jersey boy. And Rutgers was calling, but when you put up the education compared to King's College to Rutgers at the time, I decided to go D3, and I loved it every single second. I went in as a defensive lineman got on the field a little bit my freshman year, but overall just wasn't big enough to be playing that position. I mean, even at the D3 level, you still got to be at least 270 to 280 plus. Just wasn't hanging on to that, and transitioned back to the offense, where I wasn't big enough to play offensive line, guard, tackle. And I decided, you know what, I could be a little bit of a hybrid, be one of the coolest positions on the field. My opinion, behind quarterback, the second hardest position to play is tight end, because you need to know what's going on in the offensive line and also running routes, knowing what the receivers are doing, what the running backs are doing. It took me about a year and a half to kind of figure it out. By the middle of my sophomore season was starting. And yeah, honestly, just fell in love with the game. It's completely different from back in like the early teens of the 2000s. But yeah, loved it every single second of it. Moved on, got drafted actually by the, at the time, the Israeli Football League, fifth round pick to the, oh my gosh, the Tel Aviv Knights, but wasn't able to make it over to Israel and play, and had an internship at SiriusXM that moved me up and down the ranks, started over there, and made my, college football imprint back when the Pac-12 was still a thing. Yes, bringing it back all the way back to 2018, the glory days of college football, the Pac-12, RIP, even though it's not technically dead. I mean, there is still a Pac-12. It's not the Pac-12 that we know of. And yeah, started producing daily shows for the Pac-12 networks, radio station on SiriusXM, moved over to Big Ten Network, and now currently working with College Sports Radio on Channel 84. So kind of my fandom started from just being an actual player at the lowest level of college football, but doing the same things that everyone's doing at Division II, Division III, JUCO, and all that type of stuff. So yeah, my fandom kind of started from there, and I just really never wanted to graduate, John. I never just wanted to give it up. Never gave up the dream. Wasn't good enough to go to that next level other than playing in Israel. But now we're doing a podcast and talking about it. So yeah, that's how I kind of got into it. Always loved college football, and just excited to be talking about it with you on a weekly basis, my friend.
Noticeably absent for some reason in your storytelling is when you were a game day MC for the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders, who are the AAA affiliate of the New York Yankees. I've frequented many games there. Unfortunately, I didn't know you at the time, or I could have waved while you were standing at the dugout doing whatever nonsensical things you're forced to do in between innings. Tell us about that experience, Dan. How did that not become a mascot type job that would have led you to maybe being the Philly fanatic at this point in your life? You had it right there in your hands.
I literally did. My first job ever holding a microphone and broadcasting myself to the beautiful people of Moosic, Pennsylvania. Yeah, it was a great internship. I did that back when Aaron Judge was actually still on the Rail Riders. So Aaron Judge actually might remember me as Danny Boy, the one guy who was trying to get the crowd hyped up in the seventh inning. We're in a tight game versus our rivals, the Iron Pigs. And your boy's getting everyone riled up. Let's go, Rail Rider fans. Come on. I got like a t-shirt gun in my hand, shooting stuff out. And I accidentally threw the microphone actually into the crowd. And it made the loudest noise known to man. And it still rings in my ears every single day just thinking about that moment. I'm literally getting sweaty thinking about it. And I'm on the back of this like ATV type of thing. Boom, everyone's going crazy. Like makes this wild noise. And Aaron Judge and myself just lock eyes. And I've never just seen the look of disappointment on a 6'7" giant like that ever in my life. Maybe one day if Aaron's watching the Coast to Coast podcast on the Sick Media platforms, I'm sorry, Aaron. But listen, that might have motivated him to get out of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania and go to New York and become the monster athlete that he is there now. So I take a little bit of credit of that. But yeah, shout out to the Rail Riders. I don't know how they're doing this season. But, I mean, Johnny, there might have been a time where you were at the game. You just didn't even realize I was.
Oh, definitely. Because my best Aaron Judge Rail Riders memory is standing in the beer line, $2 beer night. So obviously that's where I'm going to be for that particular night. He was up to bat. I was still in line, and I just heard the crack of his swing.
Yeah.
And knew he had hit a home run. So it wasn't so much looking at him, I had to turn to see where the crowd was running toward to try and get the baseball, because there was no doubt about it. His bat contact is a sound that probably is equal to, as rare as it is to hear a microphone hit a seat in a AAA stadium. He was just a legendary person, and unfortunately spent good time in AAA, but too long in AAA, because his career is going to be incredible. He's going to make the Hall of Fame. Right now, he's one of the best hitters, right-handed hitters statistically, to ever play baseball, but he didn't get to the big leagues right away, and that's going to be his knock, if any, because when they put up the numbers that he has, they won't put up the games that he's played. It'll just say what he ended with, and people won't know that he once graced Music, Pennsylvania, to let us small town folk get to watch him play baseball, which is definitely a memory. He didn't really look like he does now, so he did need some time to get that swing a little bit more consistent. So we could take some credit for it. You should take some credit for it. That microphone toss could have been what changed the trajectory of his career by a butterfly effect or something. So I wouldn't necessarily say you don't deserve some credit in Aaron Judge's success.
He said, I have to get out of the 570 as fast as possible. I wonder if he's ever come back to a Rail Riders game. I mean, he hasn't. I'm trying to think. I don't think he's ever done any media or like training after an injury, correct? But most of these guys now go to Trenton.
Yeah, they usually don't send them to AAA. They get to go to Florida most often than not.
Yeah.
Somewhere else that's not as luxurious as a stone's throw away from a Cinemark movie theater. No free ads. But yes, it was a great opportunity to watch Aaron Judge play baseball, and the Rail Riders still bring a lot of fun to that area as a stepping stone to the Yankees. I don't think he'll ever, fortunately, have to be back to do like a sign and autograph session if his life is taken a trajectory like Lenny Dykstra, who's been traipsing around the Scranton city, just going to Cooper's to sign some balls and get some photographs. He's not at the stage of that, and hopefully he'll never get there. So shout out to Aaron Judge if you're ever listening to this show. 6 degrees of separation. As people can probably see, I have the physique of a lineman, but I don't have the athletic ability of one. As a 6'7", heavier set folk, tight end would have been right up the alley. But when my high school coach asked me to play football, I said, I don't want to get hit. So that took care of that pretty fast. And I stuck to basketball and baseball and peaked in Little League, unfortunately, too, for my athletic prowess. Shout out to the Turco Tigers of Oliphant, Pennsylvania, 2-time league champions, barely lost a game. I'd pitch 4 innings. Brian Calabro had pitched the other 3. Couldn't hit us.
Legend Brian Calabro.
Not great to peak then. You know, unfortunately, once you get to 13, you should probably continue with your successes, but not much really happened after that. A couple complete games in high school. And then you mentioned getting injured. Tore my ACL going into my freshman year at the prestigious University of Scranton in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And I only said that for the people that don't know. It's Scranton. You don't have to say the T, and people will understand that as we continue talking about ourselves. If you're a fan of The Office, the American version, the fictitious city of where all that was set in stone, and a lot of the stuff is factually
it's pretty accurate. Yes,
reference to, which is pretty cool too. But peaked unfortunately then, and playing intramural basketball for the University of Scranton doesn't get you recognized to really make it farther than maybe getting some drinks at the bar if you're of age to make that happen. So I had to go the more relaxed route of still wanting to be around sports, but knowing a professional career was ended at 12 years old. So I did some writing for the Aquinas, the newspaper at the University of Scranton, sports editor there for a little while, did some radio as DJ London Bridge.
Woo!
Eventually did the sports show on one of their channels and started chatting about sports. And you get out of college and think, oh, this would be easy to just become a sports guy. No. I had to find a job somewhere, and I ended up being a sales rep for an energy consultant company, calling random pizza parlors and different businesses, seeing if I could lower their electricity bill. And my business card said Energy Consultants. They forgot the G. So that just tells you how prestigious of a position that was. And then thankfully I got in to be the sports editor at the Wyoming County Press Examiner in Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania, the redheaded stepchild of the Scranton Times, one of their
Go
affiliate
Tigers.
newspapers. So there's another AAA 3 degrees of separation for how we came about in this business, and did that for 5 years. I covered a football team that lost 22 consecutive games. So that was fun writing those stories on Friday nights for 2 years. And fortunately got to go to Penn State to see a softball championship, loss, but I got great ice cream there. And you cover every sport that there is. And there's no better way to open your mind to the world of sports than when you have to cover everything. Every single sport that is played in high school, you're covering. And no shock that the high school players and athletes that you're talking to after the games aren't necessarily talkative. So you learn how to really pull stuff out of people, which we might have to do at some points in this show when we're doing interviews with athletes. Not everybody is as talkative as you would hope they could be, but we're just gracious for their time. Sirius XM came a-calling. We became friends at Sirius XM. The college channel started, I think, in 2017, 2018. Yeah. Time is a flat circle.
Exactly.
I started with ACC radio running the board. The pandemic hit. I moved to Pac-12 radio running the board. Pac-12 was up in the air. I went to Big 12 radio and produced for their morning show. I went to SEC radio and produced for their afternoon show. I went back to ACC radio and produced for that show before the lights went out. And here we are. So we've hit all the gamuts really on all of the channels more often than not that Sirius XM offers on the college side for us to really just get engulfed in the culture of college football and college sports. And it's unlike any other. The passion that these people have for college sports, specifically football, of course, is next to none. Every conference is crazy. Every conference has its own traditions. Every fan hates a team, loves a team, bleeds for a team. It's just something that if you've never experienced before, you have to. And if you've never experienced going to a game, you have to. If you've only been to one game and it was Penn State, Iowa, and the final score was 6-4 because Penn State only scored 2 safeties and Iowa only scored 2 field goals, and that's been the only college football game you've ever been to, that's still something that you could proudly put on your wall and say, hey, I got to experience a little bit of history. And fans mercilessly booing for Zach Mills to be taken out of the game, which wasn't great. And the University of Scranton, speaking of football, hasn't fielded a team since, I believe, 1969, which isn't
too afraid of King's College. That's really what it is. They're too
King's
afraid.
College, Wilkes, they don't want any of that smoke.
Oh, nah, they don't want any of that. But yeah, I mean, John, going back to your point is like college football is so different in every part of the country, right? So the Southern fans, they are on like the highest level of fanatic. Then you kind of go to the Big Ten that has now spread across the country, coast to coast. And they're a little bit more educated, but still have that wildness in them. You go to the Big 12. I would say they are probably the chillest. I don't know. Maybe the ACC might be a little bit more chill to them, but it just depends on the year. And yeah, you kind of just get a sense of culture from the game of college football. And it's really like no other, man. And, you know, going back to our time together, working behind the scenes at Sirius, we always kind of said to each other, like, we're doing a show behind the scene, what's going on right now. And just so happy to be finally broadcasting it, putting it out to people, showing and sharing our stories from our time over there, and then getting back into these wild world of college football, that the hottest topics that we'll be hitting on every single day.
What would you say the biggest reason a casual fan just tuning into us or just getting involved with college football, why should they enjoy our show and enjoy that product?
Well, we're going to be getting into the weirder parts of the world of college athletics, right? So you're going to get the ESPN headlines. You're going to get, the CBS Sports headlines. You're going to get the Sirius XM headlines. You're also going to get into the weird little nitty gritty things, the weird stories that are coming out. So if you're a casual fan and you're just getting into it, please listen to us because we will explain what is actually going on to a degree of level of that a second grader could understand. And we just want to have you guys have a conversation outside of this. bring into like, hey, that was a weird thing that I just saw come up, with the Utah State versus UCLA game. We're going to be talking about that weird little thing. But yeah, so it is on a week-to-week basis a storyline that's going to happen every single time that needs to get explained. And John and myself hopefully will be able to do that for everyone going forward.
There's things that happen in the crowd. There's things that happen on the sidelines. There's things that happen with mascots. There's things that happen with coaches and players either before or after the game or on social media.
Mm-hmm.
All of that is encompassed in what actually happened on the field. We'll probably lean more toward the fun parts.
Yes.
But everything is up for grabs when it comes to college football, and it's what makes it one of the most exciting things for Saturdays. It's one day a week. You're on your couch from noon until the Pac-12 after dark time of 2 a.m. on the East Coast.
Getting those late night texts. These late night texts from John Lund. Hey, I got Oregon State -3.5. What do you think? I'm looking at my phone. It's like 11:30 Pacific. John, it's 2:30 in the morning, bro. What are you doing up? Like, this is the stuff that we'll be getting into that we just want to be broadcasting to everyone going forward. So, yeah, the weird bets, weird little things like that. Hopefully, maybe make some people some money, if it's legal wherever you guys are. Yeah. So, John, I'm just excited for this, man. I'm just pumped for this, bro.
Yeah, when you're fighting an over at 2:30 in the morning to win back what you might have lost at the noon o'clock window, 4 o'clock window, and the 8 o'clock window, it's not necessarily a good Saturday. But if Hawaii covers, really changes things in the old wallet going into Sunday to blow it all on the National Football League.
Let's go Rainbow Warriors, baby. That might be the coast to coast team that we take on. Like, hey, we're gonna give you guys Rainbow Warriors, Hawaii Rainbow Warriors updates every single week. That's our team.
The color of our background is pretty close to what they offer. Yeah, and if they want to fly us out for some coverage, we'll be happy to.
I'll go to that high school stadium.
Put them on the map. No problem.
Yeah, no doubt.
So next show, these are quick ones, only about a half hour's time. We have to put a bow on what happened with some of the main names of college players that got drafted in this year's NFL draft and some of the huge storylines or lack thereof that follow them on to their next teams. There's one head coach that's been in the news for a reason that he's probably not happy with, but seemingly doesn't realize he's in the news for, which we'll have to touch on as well. But you mentioned having some fun and going a little bit off the cuff. I'd like to introduce you as we close here a segment I call Toast or Roast.
Ooh.
And today, as we record this, it's National Tourism Day. Now, you've lived on the East Coast. We've both worked in New York City. You now work around and in Los Angeles.
Yes.
And there's tourists everywhere. Some more than others. It's now tourist season where you are, and it's now tourist season in New York City. Roast or toast tourist, Dan Lynch?
I love tourists, and I am always willing to help them out. So you get two versions of them. One who are extremely focused and nervous, or the other version is they are way too relaxed and you have no idea where you're at right now. So I'm going to toast to them. Actually, no, so toast is good, correct?
Toast is good.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to toast them. I'm going to always toast them. You normally get pretty friendly ones where I have seen most of them, like either on Hollywood Boulevard walking and seeing, these stars on the ground, or the ones in Times Square who are like, where's the A train? Is that going to get me to Queens? No. But you got to help and you got to be there. We invite everyone to come to this country to participate in the beautiful aspects of this beautiful land that we call New York City or Los Angeles or anywhere in between, man, coast to coast. So, John, with that being said, I give him a toast.
I will toast college fan bases for how the vast majority of fans treat opposing fans. More often than not, you'll hear a certain team say how welcoming specific fan bases are when they go into enemy territory. BYU, renowned for that. I could spend the rest of another hour mentioning how friendly some stadiums and some fan bases are. Now you'll find the exact opposite, and you have to be wary when you're going in mostly to SEC country that you're going to find people that are probably going to heckle you for the whole time that you're there. But there are places that if you want to experience college football, you will be welcomed with open arms. And to those fans, those tourists that also associate with those fans, I will toast them. But I will also roast New York City tourists. Get out of my way. I'm trying to walk here on the street. That's going to do it for us on this first installment of the Sick Media Coast to Coast College Football Show. I'm on Twitter at London Bridge. Dan's on Twitter at Dan Lynch Sports. That's with a U, not an O. We'll also be on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Twitter. The more the merrier. We're about to set our foot and dip our toe and all those phrases into the world of college football, and can't wait. Thanks for doing this with us, Dan. Looking forward to more.
Let's get sick, Johnny boy. Coast to coast college football, baby.
Enjoy the sun, you bum.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Coast to Coast College Football on YouTube, X, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.